go ahead.
Yes, if you would like to do that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. And Christine, do you want to do roll call?
Mike Baker.
Janice Baker.
Okay, Mike Baker, Janice Baker. Tom Trotter.
Here.
Sarah Thompson.
Here.
Lonnie said he was gonna be absent, and Kat Stone still currently absent, and Mark Hendershot is still currently absent.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll go ahead and lead it. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will move on to consent agenda, February 14th regular meeting minutes, and the February preventative maintenance report. Has everybody had a chance to review?
Yeah. I'll move to approve.
Mike moves to approve.
Mike moves
second.
to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Tom seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm guessing Mike and Janice say aye. They're on mute.
I'm just hitting buttons with my thumbs. Four eyes. Yeah.
Okay. Approved. Sherry, you want to go through the financial report?
Sure. We're still in really good shape. We should be using about 66% of the budget at this point, and we are, we're still slightly under budget, so we're still doing really well. Just a review of the medical transports year to date. So that's from July 1 through the end of February. We've profited $76,422, which is about $9,500 a month, a little over that. So the medical transports has still been a really good source of revenue for us. Sound like a comedy show back there. Payroll, we're still at around 62%, so we're still slightly under budget with the payroll. Overall, we're great. We're in great shape. We had 2 budget meetings since the last board meeting to discuss the budget and the foundation for the new budget, and it's coming along pretty nicely. The next meeting is scheduled, I believe, for 3/24. That will just be internally again. We combed over personnel increases, software, IT changes. We're still getting some estimates and getting some capital improvement stuff together. And then we're looking at the fuel and oil for next year with the price of gas right now. We need to make sure we're budgeting properly for it next year. We had a meeting with F3B, who does our advertising, like the logos and that kind of thing. And they've sent us over a couple of mock-ups. So Cheryl's just going to be reviewing that, but we're moving along with that. We have the new advertising contract with Lithia is almost approved. I'm just finishing up the last few items with the gal over at Lithia, but we are scheduled to be on target to start receiving income from that on April 1st. Nice. That's it. That's all I have. Anybody has any questions?
If there's no questions, I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll move to approve that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, instead of all those in favor, is anybody not in favor? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to public comment for on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the room that wants to provide public comment? Cheryl, I can't really see what's going on behind you guys.
Today. Natasha, did you have any public comment?
I do not.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, general manager's report.
All right, so this for February, the greater majority of the month was spent with reporting, getting our quarterly report done, the STIF report, as well as our drug and alcohol DAMIS report. In addition to that, our operations manager, I think that we had already let you know he hit the ground running, and he went through and did our building inspection for us and scheduled all of the additional inspections that needed to be done for the roof inspection, the gutter, fence repair, electrical, and parking lot seal for the springtime. And we have a warped door that just kind of went south really fast. So we'll be replacing a warped door. And then, as Sherry mentioned, we've been through the budget items quite a few times, looking at where we have an anticipated shortfall should everything continue on the way that it's going right now with fuel and things of that nature. So we had a couple of new grant opportunities that have just come available that we're reviewing and seeing just how can we use the specifics of the grant. It is COVID funding through ODOT, available to 5311 recipients. So we're just trying to figure out how we can best utilize that to address the shortfalls that we might end up with due to the extreme inflation we're facing right now. We did have a number of meetings with other entities as well. A gentleman from FirstNet came and talked with, actually, I guess we did that over Zoom, talked with Randy and I about the option that's available as second responders to a it's basically a phone and a radio all in one that is connected to the first responders network. And in the event of an emergency, if they were to need to contact us for, say, evacuation, anything of that nature, it's an option if we decide to move forward with that, that would help us with the whole process of response to an emergency. We also met with, it is Clum Creative. We've had talk over the last couple of months about the need for travel training, transit training, how do we ride the bus, that kind of thing. And I thought that this email came to me as a response to some feelers that I'd put out for how can we best do this, and do you know anybody that could fit in this budget? But it was actually just a cold call, and they have some really good media that they were able to present as and just this is what we do, and it fits right in line with what we were looking to do. And we have some funding that is budgeted specifically for travel training. So this is a good opportunity to use that to reach a lot of people. So beyond that, the Special Districts Conference was virtual again this year. So I find that when it's virtual, I don't pay as close of attention during the actual presentation. But the awesome opportunity is then that it's available to go back and listen to over and over and over. So got some good training in, and that really kind of covers what we did in February. But I have to jump into one project that we started in March, even though we're not at the March board meeting. We were finally able to put the Winston and Sutherland changes into place. We just decided to go ahead and do it, even though we didn't have all of the signage in place yet. We didn't want to continue to delay getting that project moving. And we got really good feedback the very first day. We had people that were contacting us through our Facebook message on the UTrans page. And there were folks from Winston that were just super excited that they were able to make it from Winston to Roseburg and back to Winston before noon. And then we had Friends of Ford's Pond is a Facebook page, and they contacted us and said they had just met people from Dillard who had ridden the bus all the way from Dillard up to Ford's Pond just to go hang out for the day and walk the pond. And so that was, it was really, really encouraging. We've known that this project needed to go into place for a very long time, and to hear the positive feedback was pretty awesome. So I think that's really all I have, unless you have questions for me. Oh, no, that was on the, I keep forgetting, it's on the not on agenda.
Do we see ridership increasing with the prices of gas going up?
So I'm not seeing that yet, but I suspect our ridership numbers this next month are what are going to be showing that. And it'll be hard to tell whether or not the ridership is going up because of the gas prices or because we improved the service.
Are we
So
advertising at all the additional routes to Sutherland and Winston? So people that don't usually ride the bus know?
could you repeat that again?
Are we advertising the additional routes so that people know that they're actually available? Because people aren't going to go to Facebook unless they typically ride. But if you know and say, hey, maybe with the gas prices so high, I could save some money by riding the bus once in a while. And so if we provide some of that input, then maybe we'll help see our ridership increase.
Yes, so we have not actually got there yet, but it's in the works.
Yeah, I know the radio station will report it for you.
Yes, generally he will get me on the air within it'll probably be next week.
Well,
For
the inside Douglas County, I mean, an actual radio advertisements that go out all day long.
Right, so that's what I'm working with Clum Creative on, is doing the travel training advertisement that we can do in smaller shorts, and then also it could be used as a TV commercial as well. So no, I hadn't actually reached out to the radio station specifically to advertise this.
Yeah, I think if we do the advertising, commercials is what I'm talking about, and this just advertising the service. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in that.
Yes, we'll get there. I promise.
I'll keep asking.
I'm just really concerned that this isn't going to be a short-term kind of inflationary thing. And is there anything coming from Salem as emergency funding for something more out of the box for people with children and things like that need to get places and back?
Well, there's not anything coming that's specific to that. But there are funds that are available for us to apply for. There are capital grants that are available. There is a grant that's available for immediate needs. So if we were to say need more masks or something of that nature, that's available. But then there's another one that is specific to rural transit, and it is, I don't remember how many millions, but it is a decent amount of money that we can apply for funding to cover some of these operating costs that are as a result of the inflation and COVID. It's earmarked COVID. It is additional COVID funding.
And I'm pretty sure that this transportation thing is related to COVID, the increased gas prices and things. And I just see families from 10 Mile and Camas Valley and Glendale, those kind of places that are going to need, it's like, we're really gonna have to step up, and I don't know if we have capacity for that, and wondering if they are even, working ahead, looking at it, because it's not gonna be short term.
Well, we have one route that is that we have planned to go into place next. And that's the one that will connect back down to Glendale and Azalea and all the way to Wolf Creek to be able to connect with Josephine County Transit at Wolf Creek, and then north to Cottage Grove to be able to connect with Lane Transit District. But we have to have another vehicle. The not receiving the vehicles that we've ordered at this point is kind of just holding us. Last week, we had 4 of our vehicles all out at the same time. So where we have a decent spare ratio, when 4 of them that we use on a daily basis go out all at the same time, we really don't have a good spare ratio. So
we're really hitting this when we're on the back foot, and it doesn't look like we're gonna have anything with any immediacy.
If we were to get that phone call that your bus is the next on the line and we're gonna have it to you in 2 weeks, then we could be planning for that route to go. But we have to have that balance of drivers and routes. Drivers and vehicles at the same time. And so now we actually have enough drivers that we could put it in place. We have backup drivers, and we're in decent shape there. And we only had 1 go out on COVID last month. So that number is decreasing. So we're just holding on the vehicles that we thought would already be here.
Have you heard anything on the vehicles, Cheryl?
I have not. The last that I heard, he said, your guess is as good as mine. I just have no idea when they will be here. We were supposed. Go ahead. Well, we were supposed to get to in October and 2 in February, and then I believe it was 3 in March, and the last of them in June and July. And so
we haven't gotten any of them.
No, none of them.
And so, like I say every time, is that what we're waiting on for the South County route too?
Yes.
Is those buses? Okay.
We need at least 1 bus to get that moving. Yes.
And how are we set with the folks on the coast?
So they are still, Reedsport is still running the dial ride over there, and they have the vehicles that they need to be able to do that. Coos County Area Transit is running it from Coos Bay to, I want to say Florence. So they're covering a longer route. They used some of their STIF funding to start a route that run that distance of the coast. And then of course, Curry County is covering Brookings to Coos Bay as well. So they still have their connections going. So,
Dismal.
yeah, it'll get
Yes.
better.
It'll get better.
It'll get
I'll just
better.
keep telling them.
It'll get better.
Any other questions on the general manager's report?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on to ODOT update. Jennifer?
Good evening. I wanted to just put a plug in for the Oregon Public Transportation Conference. It's a virtual conference. They have some great speakers lined up. You can register and I can send Christine and Cheryl the link, which I'm sure Cheryl has because she's on the OTA board. But they have scholarships available through ODOT. You wouldn't think that there was a cost, but they do have to pay for the speakers. So there's a cost and we have a scholarship. So shouldn't cost you guys anything to attend. And it's going to be 2 days. And that is March 28th and 29th. So the end of this month, and great sessions that should be addressing a lot of the things we've been talking about. So that'll be a good thing. The other thing, Cheryl did mention the needs grant. That one is going to be coming out. The funding will be available once we close the grant agreement or the grant cycle. The funding will be available October 1st. And it is, so it's a little different cycle than we typically do. Usually we have July 1 as our start dates, but because of the late start of this grant going out, it's a later execution date. We received all of our grants for the 5339, 5310. We're all in the process of reviewing those grants and should have that information out by mid-April because it's going to go to the OTC in April for approval. Should have those statements of work out in May for execution by June 30th. So should have that for you guys for your meeting, your June meeting for approval and signatures and getting that funding to you by June or July 1. So that will be good. And like Cheryl said, we have not had, everybody's waiting on the vehicles, unfortunately. Haven't had a whole lot of information as far as when supply is going to be coming in. The good thing is that we were able to extend all grants that expired June 30th, 2022. And those will go all the way out until December 31st of 2023. So it helps all of y'all that can't get your vehicles. So was able to extend quite a few of the grant agreements. And if you haven't received yours yet, they should be coming here shortly because I've been getting them in dribs and drabs. So that is good news for all of our transit agencies that are trying to finish up all these projects and they can't get supply. So I think that's all I have.
Jennifer, in your district, how many vehicles are we short?
Let's see, Curry County has 7 vehicles on order. Coos County has 4 vehicles on order. I think you guys have what, 7 or 8, Cheryl? 11. Yeah, Scott, I know, has a couple of vehicles. RVTD has some. Pretty much every single agency is waiting on vehicles of one amount or another.
More dismal.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of good news right now. Trying to get drivers, trying to get, gas. And, I think that we probably, some of the funding for the needs, I mean, it's needs-based funding, and yes, it's supposed to go towards COVID, but I think there's a case to be made for some of the funding being utilized for, it's supposed to go to operations. So that's a good thing for you guys because it'll help offset the cost of some of your other operations funds.
Any other questions for Jennifer? Okay, we'll move on to not on agenda. Does anybody have anything not on the agenda?
You have one thing not on the agenda. Since Randy came on board and he has been going through our system really with a fine tooth comb and looking at things a lot closer than I've had the opportunity to do for a really long time. And so one of the things that he has recommended, and I wholeheartedly agree with his recommendation, is we really need a service vehicle. And that's not something that we've had in the plans. So it would have to be something that the board agreed that we could, at least I believe that's the process, that the board would approve our request to use some of the capital funding that we have out of our STIF capital funding, to use that for a service vehicle as opposed to a passenger vehicle. So
Is that something that's already in our plan?
it is not.
And what exactly is this service vehicle?
So, service truck with a ladder rack. So it's a service body that can hold tools and other things for bus stop maintenance. And then the back of the bed can hold a pressure washer and tank. Or it can haul a trailer with a pressure washer and tank on there, because currently they're only getting washed once a month. And over the last week, since we launched new services, I've spent a lot of time out in the field updating signage and inspecting bus stop shelters, and they're in need of repair and more frequent maintenance. And this could also be used for in the field repairs on a bus, instead of having to pull it offline and take it to mechanics, or some things that we can do in-house.
I think that's a great idea. I'd never thought of it before, but Chance was just saying it's a surprise we don't have something like that. That's a great idea.
Is that something we can amend into our STIF plan, Cheryl?
I will have to research. I believe that we can. It's a capital purchase. And we have in our STIF plan that the capital purchases are for, it's for the vehicles, and for the match money for the development of the property next door. So I believe that we can look in the wording and make it fit. But that's something also that we should probably get Jennifer's input on as well.
Yeah, I actually was working with RBTD today on a project that they were trying to do regarding van pools. And if you don't have a specific project in there, then what will happen, you can use contingency funds. If you can tie it to a project that's currently in your STIF plan, then you don't have any issues. But if it is not, if you can't tie it to a plan, then you will more than likely just be inconsistent with the plan. So you'll get marked as inconsistent, but compliant. So if you used if you have contingency fund, you couldn't necessarily just take money from one of your current projects and use it for a vehicle, but you could take it out of your contingency fund if you have contingency fund and tie it to your capital project. And then you would just put that information into the contingency as far as how you use that funding. The only thing is that if you make any modifications, then your STIF plan will be inconsistent, but you wouldn't necessarily be out of compliance, if that makes any sense. The wording is kind of weird the way that they do it. So
so then we might be better served to actually look at using, instead of STIF funding, using our general fund, like the income that we're receiving from, say, medical transportation.
yeah, you could, yeah.
Is it
Or, I mean, there is, you might be able to make a case for you applying for the CARES need and getting funding for that, because this is a need that has come up. So you could possibly do that. You wouldn't get the funding until October, but it would be a way to not have to take money away from any other projects. And I don't know how long you can put off getting this, but then you could definitely add it into your STIF plan for next year. So, and then there's also the new what is it, the NOFO that just came out for low and no. So if you found a hybrid vehicle, you could put in for that, but it's a national competitive. So, we aren't always guaranteed those grant funds, but a good way to put it in for it. So, and not take away from your other funds.
Okay, all good things to consider. We'll bring back a plan next time.
Okay, anything else not on agenda? Okay, we'll
We're
move on to
currently-
public. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Oh,
Tom,
we're currently contracting out. Is that the case for cleaning the bus shelters?
Yes.
They only wash them once a month.
So with this, we could possibly do that more often.
Yes.
Yes.
And we can also do the emergency cleanups for, like when there are bodily fluids here and there. Yeah, bodily waste that we find in the shelters. It would be an optimal way to be able to clean it without having to get it put on us.
Or if you have to go pick up a driver that's out and has an issue and you need to get somebody out to the site, it's a great vehicle to use for that as well.
Well, it could also be used if we put, I think one of the things our shelters really need are trash cans, but just to be able to empty the trash cans.
Yes.
The shelters are porta potties. So,
One other thing not on agenda, but we had discussed last time was the membership of the budget committee. And we did a little bit of research and we found that Mike was correct, that the employees should not be on the budget committee, and it's actually stated in the Oregon budget law. Yes. But it does state that if you're not able to find enough people to participate, that you can continue on even though you don't have, we should have the 7 board members and 7 citizens at large. But if we can only get 3 citizens, then we can continue on with that as well. And in addition, the time period is actually stated in the Oregon budget law as 3 years. And so that's what we need to be letting people know, that when we're appointing them as a budget committee member, that the commitment is for 3 years. So, and to be rotated, so that not all of them are leaving at the same time.
and did we advertise for that, Cheryl?
The only place that we have advertised for that is on our Facebook page. It's pinned to the top of the page, and also on our website. But we have not put an ad in the paper or anything of that nature.
I believe the commissioners recruit their own. Would it be okay for us each to recruit someone, a mini me like they do?
Well, we do have 4 people that have volunteered as members at this time. So we do need 3 more people. And
So we should be more proactive ourselves as the board.
you could be,
Yes.
yes.
Certainly not a rule against it.
There is not a rule against it,
Okay.
just citizens at large.
I've rarely been on one where all the citizens were filled, positions were filled. It's not.
What's that, Mike?
Oh, he's muted. There he is.
We just think it's not uncommon for citizen positions on budget committee.
Mike, do you want us to hear you or are you talking privately?
Sorry? That's okay. It wasn't important.
Oh, okay.
It's not as bad as when he walks by.
Okay, anything else for not on agenda? Moving on to public comment.
Yes, Jim, do you laugh?
Go ahead, Jim.
I wondered on your, of course, looking ahead, what you think? First off, you're now actually becoming a real transit district. And so you've got growing pains. I understand that. So when there's more riding and more riders, more routes, is this going to be continuing? When you add routes, I know you're going to have signs. Are you going to have shelters also? Are they part of that?
Yes, so we're currently looking at a grant that would replace the current shelters with better shelters. And we also have it's called a semi seat. And so it's the pole for the sign, and it has 2 seats on it. So it's pretty minimal,
Right,
but at least it gives people a place to sit.
right.
And with our new operations manager on board, he's doing an assessment of our bus stops and making a recommendation for improvements. So it's on its way.
Okay, and I was looking at the routes and you have certain times, and you're listing places in between. I guess those are what you call a flag stop. Is that what that is?
I'm gonna let you speak to that, Randy.
No, very common timing that you'll see, and it also helps out when developing a ride guide. It's not every stop is timed,
Right,
because not everyone's a safe dwell spot if an operator finds that they're running hot. So this, you look at the whole route strategically and look at time points where if they are running hot on their paddle, they can stop and dwell at that location and wait for their time to leave, so they're not leaving anybody behind. And then it's recommended that the person wanting to ride the bus is at the bus stop at the previous time point that's listed on there. So they're all service stops.
okay, all right.
Mhm.
And are they relatively accurate? I mean, because we have trains,
Oh, yeah.
they're a big
Yeah,
problem.
they're relatively accurate until you get something like that that's uncontrollable.
Right,
In fact, when we were timing one of them, we got stuck on a train up in Sutherland, and it was 7 minutes before we could move through it.
right.
And those are things that you don't know at what point you're gonna actually hit there and where, in relation to how far the train's already gone through there. And
Right.
so,
That's understandable. So when you say,
but there's enough recovery time at the end of the run, whether they're going inbound or outbound, where they can have a little bit of recovery time to absorb some of that if they do get down.
okay, all right. So you'd say probably 95% you're pretty accurate?
I don't know of a percentage. At this point, we don't have a very solid means to track all that.
Right, I realize that,
and-
but what's your gut feeling, put it that way?
But yeah, they're making transfers. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
they're able to get to the connection plan and make transfers, and plus, of course, somebody's down severely because of they had to do a bus exchange or something.
Okay. Other thing, we were talking about having advertising on the buses. Who's in charge of keeping them clean? Those things look terrible. I mean, if I was paying to have advertising on the bus, I'd want that thing to be clean. Is there something in process to have these on a regular basis? I mean, it's just, as the public, I see these buses and chip trucks are even worse, but I mean, but you look at the bus and I just think and go, man, if I was paying for advertising, I want it on the bus, it looks really nice. And I'm just wondering, is there something in the process that's coming up? I know it's, everything's new, you know, and so I'm just curious, is there something in line that's coming up in order to have the buses cleaned on a regular basis?
So the operators do clean them on a regular basis, but unfortunately, it's very rudimentary tools. It's a bucket and a brush. And that's unfortunately the tools that we have. I know that we talked about getting a walk around bus wash in the interim, and then if things come into fruition next door, to look at even a drive-through bus wash. So
So there's things in process.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
All
there's hope for gate.
All right.
And we talked about that back when we were looking for a place. Was the whole thing was we had to have water where we could wash the buses.
Yeah.
So that was one of the negatives about down the road there. So interesting. So we're looking at until we build the new next door,
Well,
kind of.
so we used to have somebody that was specifically their job was to sanitize and wash buses. And we're looking to fill that position again. But we just don't have anybody that is their focus at this point. The drivers clean their buses, but we don't have somebody in that position that is just that sanitation tech and bus washer.
But we have the money in the budget and an opening that we aren't recruiting for.
So we just discussed this like
Good to know.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, yeah.
Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in the works.
Okay, I knew it was a priority in the beginning.
Yes.
We had like a million
We had
priorities.
someone.
Well, and we did have
Yeah.
somebody, but we no longer have that somebody. But we also are looking at new job descriptions and, you know, molding things together to where it's maybe more than just a bus washer, more than just somebody to clean the buses, but also to take care of shelters and things of that nature. So a lot of discussion about the best way to fill the position.
Good to know.
I do
Okay.
have one other thing.
Oh.
Today I was going through the, well, Christine was nice enough to give me an agenda, and I was looking through there for the minutes. And the headings are in there, agenda and meeting minutes. And every one of them I randomly looked in any of them. There's all kinds of agendas, but there's not any minutes in any of those folders.
On the website?
Yep.
Okay, there must be an error and I'll need to look into that.
Yeah, I seem to remember that we had minutes.
Yeah,
I'm never sure where to find anything on there. I know we used to have minutes. I know we did.
Well, I've made sure that they were all on there. I'd have to.
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things that in order to remain compliant with our funding, we keep those things posted for the public.
But so I just randomly went through, 2021 and just opened one up, a couple of them, and there was agendas, but there's no minutes there. And like for today also, the agenda was there, but no minutes from the last one.
Oh, for last one. I see. We have today our minutes were from
No,
the,
from last month's should have been, you have copies here, don't you?
right, but they have to be approved before we can give them to the public.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason that they're not handed directly to you.
all right, okay, that's.
So after tonight, now that they're approved, they can be handed to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm new to it, so I don't understand everything, how things work, but.
I didn't either.
How are we doing on the YouTube videos, posting those? I haven't had a chance to look at that either. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Christine. I
She gets them
appreciate
up in a very timely manner.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not as easy as
I-
I claimed it was.
Well, it never is. You need an assistant, Christine. I'll look into that.
No, I've got it.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, we'll move on to agenda build for the next meeting on April 11th. Does anybody have any requests for the agenda?
So I believe according to our budget process that our budget committee meeting, our formal budget committee meeting is supposed to occur on the day before our April 11th board meeting. So that in the event that we go through the process and the budget committee approves the budget to move forward to the board, then the board would be able to approve it at that April 11th board meeting. In the event that that's not the case, that we need to meet again, or there's changes that need to be made, then we would be able to put it on the next board meeting for approval.
For May.
May. Mhm.
Okay.
So
Anything else?
beyond- Oh, no, this is April we're looking at, right? Yeah, no.
Okay. So then I guess, I don't know how this works. Do I adjourn this meeting and,
You have to call the executive session.
okay, I'm now going to call the executive session ORS 192.6602I to order as a closed meeting.
So is this one that I stay for or no?
Can you help me out?
So, yeah, so first of all, you need to declare what section under ORS 192 we're meeting.
Oh, sorry.
The letter and all of that, and the reason for that. And then I would have Cheryl stay for at least the initial part to talk about her accomplishments and goals, and go through the report that she sent out, and then she can go back and we can talk about it, and then she can come back in.
Okay, the purpose of this executive session is to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. So now we will call our regular session back to order at 7:24 p.m. And we don't have anything else on our agenda,
That's right.
so
We just end it.
I will now
That's it?
adjourn the meeting at 7:25 p.m.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Night.
Good job. Bye.